Ladies and gentlemen, as always, welcome back to another fantastic day on the road here on the Pirate Ragnar Motovlog channel. My name is Alistair, and this is day 6. Leaving Arizona after a great visit with my parents has that setting off feel of excitement all over again. I know I have quite the day of road ahead of me. Tips from both my father and Darren have adjusted my trip some to hit a few choice roads. Some important maintenance done, the Speedo is still acting out, but using Curviger gives me a GPS Speedo anyway, so wasn't something I was going to worry too much about at the time. It was very, very tempting to go over the Mingus again, but I suppose that's just another reason I'll have to come back on a motorcycle again. What a shame. Instead, I head down 89 towards Cottonwood. Now, I don't actually have footage of it, but I think I remember why I went this particular way, and it had something to do with Carl's Jr. What followed the stop to fuel up was a rather epic day, just shy of 1,000 kilometers. A slow, steady climb into New Mexico saw spectacular canyons, alpine forest, and the rare time this trip where I prioritized my need to get a certain shot over the distance that I thought I could cover in a day. I really love this shot. And yes, I know I'm biased, but I really like these old Comcast wheels. They look rugged, and that wheel just eats up the road. Little side note, that's actually the same notion that gave Moles her name. Molly, but she moles up the distance. So Moles, for short, which isn't shorter. Yeah, my cat's name is Secret Agent 99, so don't worry. Moles is far from the weirdest naming convention I've used so far. At least once a day I would try and pull out the mic and set up the cameras to do some on-the-road narration. There's usually enough rambling to make its own side video as well, but I give you the 2018 Alistair. Yeah, over to you.
Oh. Yeah, it's recording now. Alright. So, I'm back on the road. I just spent almost a week in Sedona, Arizona and Prescott, Arizona. I arrived, when did I arrive? Like Tuesday or something? And now I'm leaving Tuesday. Maybe I arrived Wednesday, I don't know, I can't remember off the top of my head. But it was amazing. Got some hiking in, got some visiting in. Fucked up hardcore between Darren and I. We confused the communication and I missed the wedding ceremony itself, but was there for everything after. So it's a little disappointing, but it's rather typical of me. I was bound and determined apparently to fuck something up, and there we go. It could have been much worse. Had a few amazing runs over Jerome, but I'm back on the road. Anyway, I'm driving today from Sedona, Arizona, down through like Cottonwood and Peyton or whatever it's called, in through what I believe is referred to as the White Mountains, into New Mexico. So I'm going to lose an hour crossing into New Mexico again, but then I won't lose another hour until I hit Georgia. That's not so bad. Today shouldn't be too long of a day. So today, into Ruidoso, something like that. Ruidoso, New Mexico. Tomorrow I'll be able to drive through Roswell, New Mexico, on my way to Waco, Texas. It seemed apt to kind of hit, or aim to hit some of these notorious places. Infamous places, as it were. To me, Texas, this trip is pretty much, it's kind of like Nebraska. Try and get through it. And I will be happy and pleasantly surprised if it turns out to be far more interesting than I'm predicting. We shall see. This road is fantastic. Look at these views. Oh. I had some, lots of like the raw alpine country though I went through earlier. And that's gorgeous, and it cooled off a little bit, but now I'm heading down again. So you'll see the pine trees slowly start to disappear. I've been told that today's ride is going to be gorgeous and just a phenomenal ride, and so far it has been.
You, yes, you, are a legend. You've made it this far into the video, and I do appreciate the glorious YouTube analytics watch time. It doesn't go unnoticed. Be sure to check out the Pirate Ragnar on Instagram and Twitter for more regular updates, and if you haven't already, why not check out the Wrenching Wednesday video series? Links in the description below. The route today runs along the White Mountains of Arizona, through much of the Apache Sitgraves National Forest in Arizona and into the Gila National Forest in New Mexico. From deep canyons and desert to rugged mountains and mesas, today is one of those gems of a day that spans so many different terrains. There are faster routes from northern Arizona to central New Mexico, but I can't claim to suggest them. Skirting rain will be somewhat of a pastime for the day as well. Although I did get a little bit of a pour at one point, I was able to stay just ahead of it for the most part. And it's those little wins that convince you that you can actually have some power over whether or not you're going to hit bad weather. So it didn't stop me from keeping track of those dark clouds and inclement weather until I realized I was quite literally driving right into it, and there wasn't a lot I could do. But in the end, the wind and clouds took it easy on me for the rest of the day. But after a long stretch of seemingly flat terrain, we break out of the White Mountains of Arizona and into the Datil Mountains of New Mexico. As 2018 me mentioned, today wasn't supposed to be a really long day. Well, it was. It was actually a really, really long day. A number of factors led to this, but mostly, I'm just going to blame my decreased sense of urgency that I had that day compared to the days leading into Arizona. I was rested and relaxed, which was great, but I wasn't really keeping tabs on the distance I had to go for my intended destination that day, and as usual, time and reality crept up on me. But before I get into that, if you do like the content on this channel, be sure to like and subscribe. Less than 20% of people viewing are actually subscribed, so smash that bell icon to get notified. And if you do want to help this channel, just share the videos on social media, get the word out there. It's truly appreciated. One very cool thing the route today had me pass was the VLA, or the Very Large Array. You know the one, if you've ever seen the movie Contact. It's a massive array of radio telescopes that function as an observatory, and it's really impressive to see. Sadly, the resolution on the GoPro from that distance gives you all something like this to look at. But it is genuinely visible from the road by the naked eye, and is a sight to behold. So circling back to the long day discussion, at this point in the trip, I'd pretty well decided the tent and hammock were there more as a backup than an active intention. So in the morning, I would take a look at how far I would think that I could get and start looking at reserving a room online, so I could find the cheapest option, knowing I would have until 6 p.m. that day to change my mind if things came up, or if I made more or less distance than expected. 6 p.m. So without fail, at 6:01 p.m. each day, I would remember that fact. The problem today was that I had not at all made the distance in the first 10 hours that I expected. And if I was being smart, I would have cancelled the reservation and found something closer to my current location. But I'm Alistair, so now I was left with either sucking up the cost of paying for that room and another that I found closer, or just sticking it out, riding late, and paying for my mistake that way. And I'm cheap, so the latter it was. You will have noticed by now that I travel with a Rotopack full of extra fuel. With a 10-liter tank and traveling through Central North America, it's a must. With any luck, you don't ever have to use it, but the moment you run out of fuel in the middle of nowhere, you'll be very thankful that you do. In 2018, I never had to use the Rotopack. There was one time that was very close. Like, really, really close. The kind of close where you know there's a gas station at the bottom of the mountain, but the bike's already cutting out. So you just cut the engine off whenever there's a decline and hold the clutch in so the bike's in neutral and let the gas fill up your carbs because the bike is leaning forward. And then when the road levels out and you stop having momentum, you cut the bike on just long enough to make it to the next decline. Well, finally, eventually, and painfully close to empty, I got to a gas station. And it was at this point that the camera died. And with it already being dark, there wasn't really a point in charging it. Fueled up, I rode the remaining 15 kilometers into Ruidoso, New Mexico, and got some sleep. A special thanks to all the cagers that played nicely, to that gas station at the bottom of the hill, seriously, you were there for me, and to Purple Planet for all the great music clips. And as always, ride safe and ride fun, and I will see you on the next video.